Hello, welcome to the Totum Life Science podcast, yet to be named. My name is Tim Irvine. I'm one of the owners here at Totum Life Science, and I'm here with my partner in business and in life, Stacey Irvine, Dr. Stacey Irvine.
Hi, Tim. Happy to be here on our first podcast.
Podcast number one. So I think it would be good to let people know, why would they even want to listen to this? What is it that we're trying to get out of it? So for me, if you don't mind me going first, I love sharing really good quality, up-to-date information. I'm very passionate about trying to help people improve their wellness any way they can. Fitness, sleep, eating, you name it. We've got some great experts that we'll bring on both with inside Totum and outside. So that's really what I'm excited about.
I agree. I'm equally excited about those things. I also think that there's a lot of information out there on social media and in the general media that is maybe not great information, and it sends people in directions that can be frustrating or where they're spending a lot of money and things that don't lead to good results. And I'm very excited that we're going to do this podcast in a way that we know gets people results because we're following science. We're sending out good information. We're not sponsored by anyone yet, so the information is going to be...
We're sponsored by Totum.
It's going to be genuine information. We've worked in this industry for most of our lives, so, around 30 some years. So we've seen all the trends come and go. And I think that we're going to be able to help people navigate this constantly changing fitness and wellness environment.
I agree. And how did we do that when we started when we were 3 years old? Because we're only 33 now. So.
That's a good point, right? It's about aging well. We will talk about that.
Yes. And I think it's worthwhile noting because in my headphones, I can hear some noise in the background. We do this from one of our facilities. So we're in a live gym and we've got people working out outside this room. So you're going to hear some people laughing, some weights banging, and that's just part of our environment.
It's the real deal.
Real deal.
I love that. There's a couple other things that I thought about for today that are messages that I think resonate with me and I hope resonate with other people. And when we're talking about health and wellness, for most of us, when we get this information in a selfish way, we're using it for ourselves to say, how can I make a change so that I can improve my health and wellness? And in my book, I have this quote from Charles Darwin. So here it is. All right.
Your Better Instincts.
Your Better Instincts. That's the book. Okay, here's the quote that kind of really resonates for me in this. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It's the one that's most adaptable to change. The very essence of instinct is that it's followed independently of reason. And that's kind of one of the reasons that I chose the word instinct for this book, because I think that in many ways in our lives, we've moved away from those instincts because we have all this technology. And for most of us, our day-to-day lives involve a lot of technology. And it's not the way our bodies were designed to live. We're living in essentially the same cells and physiology that we were thousands of years ago, but the way we conduct ourselves in life is very different. And obviously, we know that that leads to some negative health consequences, and those are going to be some of the things that we're talking about. And the reason I like this quote about adapting is that with every change, we need to understand how do we adapt and how do we maintain our health, even though now we're sitting at computers for sometimes 8 hours a day and we can't go anywhere without our cell phones. That's a big adaptation. Fine, there's nothing, we're not going to stop that. We're not going to turn back the clock and we're not going to get rid of our computers and get rid of our phones. But what I think is important for us to realize is, okay, what changes do I need to make on the other side of that so that I don't lose my health and I don't lose my wellness and I still have the same energy throughout the day and I'm still going to have a healthy, productive life. So that's why I love this concept of adapting. And as you know, you started reading this book as well called The Power of Story. And it's by Harold Johnson, right? I remember it because of the hotel chain, I think Howard Johnson, but it's Harold Johnson, the late Harold Johnson, who is a Canadian author. He is a member of the Montreal Lake Nation, I believe.
Yeah, Indigenous in Saskatchewan.
Indigenous in Saskatchewan. We both love this book, and I'm a little bit further into it than you are. The thing that I find fantastic about this book is that we learn through stories. And I write about that in Your Better Instinct, and that is a human instinct that if something is told to us just in rote facts, or if someone hands us a sheet of paper and says, memorize this, we struggle with that with our brains. But when someone tells us something in a story format, we are able to remember it. We are able to put ourselves in that story, and we're able to say, what can I take from this story? This story happened to someone else, but how does it apply to me? And I think with this podcast, both you and I love stories, and I think that that's the format that will work the best, because science proves that that is what works the best. And I think that's why podcasts in many ways have taken off. It's the new way of telling stories.
Absolutely. I think that's a good point. And I did a history minor. And when I did that, every textbook was dry, and you had to be really passionate about history to plow through them. And now a lot of these history books are being written in more storied format. And it actually, Canadian history is made to feel pretty boring, particularly compared to American history. And I think that concept of story it's a perfect example of how it makes information really captivating. And, some of the stuff that we'll be talking about on this podcast, we're going to get a little nerdy with it. And if we can remember that, to come back to that concept of story, relating it to a real experience that somebody may have had, I think will be that much more useful for people.
Right. And keeping it funny.
Always.
And entertaining.
Yeah. Well, I'm obviously entertaining, so that's a check mark. Anyway, I'm excited about it, and I know you are too. And I guess this concludes episode number 1.
It does. See you next time.
Brought to you by Totum. Get your Totum.
Our only sponsor.
That's outgoing music.